When you line up for your OSAP loan, the Ontario and Canada, they're giving you a big bulk amount of money. And if I look at myself, I used it for my fees, but I used it for investing as well. So, and that's not what I was supposed to do with the money.
But if I may interject here, you know, the question of honesty or dishonesty, this is something ingrained in human nature.
Yes.
I mean, let's not overburden any financial system.
But we have to trust people, though.
Yeah, you have to trust. I mean, those problems are all there, whether it's an Islamic system or a non-Islamic system, what have you. Dishonesty is there. Honesty is there.
But my question is, it's great to, you know, I'm all for Sharia compliant products, whatnot, but if we're not living in a theoretically, completely, holistically Islamic economy, does it even really make sense to have all these products? Like,
no, of course it does. I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, do you want to elaborate? An example, there was an oil refinery company on the outskirts of Louisiana, out in the Gulf there. Their current lender was taking 50% of their royalties on every dollar they made. Okay, and an Islamic sukuk was created for them, $167 million. This is the ECP deal, and that sukuk turned out to be a lot cheaper because they were sharing in the returns, but not at not a fixed 50%. So Islamic finance helps people get out of these prohibitive contracts, and this is one example. And believe it or not, a big institution like Merrill Lynch was involved with it. And the interesting point is 50% of the bondholders, they're hedge funds in New York.
But this is great for large organization, but we go back to a student. Who am I to tell the student what they can eat and what they couldn't eat because they need a loan?
And one way around it, if I may suggest, is that there are Islamic finance companies in Canada too that provide mortgage loans. Is that if a father or mother have equity in the home, they're able to do a murabaha contract or musharaka, whatever it is, and they're able to refinance that home and get that cash flow.
Are you familiar with these programs, the murabaha mortgages? See, you know, in my mind, and I'm not going to say I'm a scholar, I'm not a scholar, but if it costs me, I'm going to buy a $100,000 house, and I borrow from the bank, it costs me $150,000, or if I borrow from this Muslim organization, it costs me $160,000.
It shouldn't.
Please don't call it anything else other than a hidden interest or hidden thing. Honestly, I have to be honest. I look and I say, what difference does it mean? Even if it costs the same, just because you want to call it differently, you tell me it's halal?
First of all, let's keep cost out of this discussion, because I know cost is important to every human being as a financial matter. Now, if you go to a supermarket to buy meat, and obviously in the West, the cheapest meat is pork.
Yes.
And the most expensive is probably beef.
I don't buy pork, so I don't know.
Even I.
No,
extreme example.
I have researched that, not to eat, but to do the research. And tell me, as a practicing Muslim, what would you buy?
Well, we have to go to a break, but this is an interesting discussion. Please stand by. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to Spirit of Islam. Today we are discussing Islamic financing, and before the break Dr. Azim was saying it is really not about the money, and maybe before
the cost
of what you pay. Maybe before we go back to this point, I remember a few years ago the economy was in a slump and the car sales was doing well, and the reasons they said this car sales are doing well because it was zero financing.
0%
so it made
encourage people to
buy, and the economy went. So it really is about money. But let's go back to your point. Why do you feel it's not about how much you pay, what's halal and haram, what's right and wrong?
When it's a question of halal and haram,
you
cannot judge halal and haram by the criteria of cost.
Okay, that's fair. We're going to agree.
I don't think anybody will disagree.
No, we agree on this concept. There's no
cost is not a consideration there. Something Quran tells you is haram, it is haram. You have to avoid it. Okay, and the Quran tells us very clearly to Muslims and to everybody that look here, riba, or what the scholars today translate as interest, is prohibited, so we have to
and trade is encouraged.
Why don't we go to the example of the house? That's 100,000.
Yes.
If I bought it through the bank, it's 150. If I bought it through this organization that tells me it's halal, it's 150 to 160.
Slightly more, yes.
Right?
At present,
how did it become halal? The concept is, if I paid a lot more, call it whichever way you want to call it, interest, administration, whatever.
Paying more
How
is
did
not
it become halal?
Because paying more is not haram. It is the method of generation of that paying more which is either halal or haram.